Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusha here, and I have gotten a lot of response in the comments in the last video. People actually seem to like what I've been doing. But I also saw another comment that actually talked about Eri's quirk. How her rewind quirk may not be actually rewind. Just maybe manipulation over time. And I know that, but I wasn't gonna delve into that side of the quirk yet. Now, that being said, let us begin. Let us start off with Deku. Deku, he has been talking, and he's actually helping Eri out with her quirk. She's actually less scared of it now, actually somewhat embracing it. Now, let us cut to after breakfast. Deku would get a knock on his door, and it is Bakugo and Uraka. They are talking, and they're saying that they need to hurry before they become late, or they're late. Now, as soon as that happens, Eri would run up to the door, actually saying hi to them. Bakugo and Uraka are confused, and Deku would just say that that's Eri, which kind of confuses them more. Deku would state that her quirk is exactly like his, and he would bring up the time he accidentally turned Bakugo into a pickle, which Bakugo would just... ugh. Yeah. And he says that he's basically helping Eri use her quirk and train it so that she doesn't do anything like that to them, or anything like that to anyone. Now, they are walking to UA, and this is whenever Ochako brings up a good fact. That it's very weird that their quirks are basically almost exactly the same, except for your enhancement, or your strength part. Does she have that part? Well, no, I don't think so. In fact, there's something I've been meaning to tell you guys. It's kind of been annoying, but... okay, I know you guys won't believe me, but hear me out. As he would actually pull them aside and actually look to see if there's anyone around. He would then explain to them as quietly as possible that they need to try and not to freak out. Because this power of his is not a part of his quirk. It's a second quirk he has. Which these two would just be in shock. He would then say that, hey, I told you guys to calm down, now listen to me. He's probably gonna kill me for this. Who? All Might. Wait, why All Might? He gave me his quirk. Which confuses them even more. They're asking Deku if he, edited his genes to essentially copy All Might's, or what did he do? Deku would say no, it's something different actually. As he would give the explanation, telling them that they need to keep this a secret. In fact, only a small handful of people and teachers in UA know about this. But after his injury, and after I met him that one time in the tunnels, I kinda offered to rewind All Might to his prime. Which is why he's able to do hero work again. Well, that actually solves a lot of questions I have. But you guys need to help me on this. If people keep asking me about this, please just keep it a secret. I am trusting you guys with this. I've known you my entire life. Which they would honestly do. But he's also stating that if people ask, the way his quirk is different from Eri's is basically this is considered one quirk. Which they would agree to. Now then, they actually start running to UA because they don't have a lot of time. The final exams would begin. Now, as soon as it begins, Deku and Bakugo are actually paired up together. Which as soon as they do, Deku and Bakugo would actually give themselves a high five and actually start doing that what is it called? Where you essentially grab your arms together and you try and have an arm wrestling match. I've seen it in Full Metal Alchemist. Oh crap, I remember something. Oh, that's gonna be for a different thing. Okay. Essentially, they're doing this, and Bakugo's saying that you better not hold back if we're going up against that guy, or they're going up against All Might. Which Deku says is not a problem. As him and All Might are staring each other down, people are watching at the intensity. And the fight would begin. Now, as soon as the fight begins, Deku actually powers up to 100% of full cowling, and he's using Rewind to hold himself together. Now, he's actually, I want to say, at about half this power. If not, he's probably around 50 or 40% of Rewind, I believe I said last time. But he can use 50% at strain on his body, 60% at max, and 65 at complete maximum if he wanted to. But with Rewind, he can essentially bridge the gap between those two, actually ripping his muscles apart, helping them grow a bit bigger. But since he's rewinding his muscles at the point before they rip, this is actually barely doing anything. Now then, they would begin as Deku would actually charge in and actually blitz All Might, which confuses them because these two are essentially right behind each other. As soon as they realize this, they would both turn around and actually meet each other with a punch. As soon as this happens, these two are both sent flying as they are essentially trying to recover ground. As soon as this happens, Bakugo would fly in and he's actually behind All Might. He would charge in and he actually releases his gauntlet directly in All Might's back. As soon as he does this, All Might would have actually turned around. As soon as he went to turn around to deal with Deku, or deal with Bakugo, Bakugo would have immediately just moved out of the way by using the burst he has in his boots. Now, he would have actually put his hand down, and I want to say the way his gauntlets are, he can actually pull the pin with a part of the glove, or if not, the part of the gloves. Because it would make sense with the way his... It would make sense with the way he could build stuff, or get his gear built. Because those aesthetic pieces, you can actually make them useful. Anyways, he would have that done, and as soon as the pin gets pulled, All Might's reaching out for Bakugo. As an explosion would go off, actually somewhat blinding All Might, because he wasn't expecting it and his eyes were open. So he's actually rubbing his eyes, trying to get things sorted out, as Deku charges in and actually throws another 100% smash at him, actually sending him flying. As soon as this happens, Deku and Bakugo are thinking, Bakugo's saying that if he can use 100%, then that means they should be able to beat him, right? Deku says, yeah, but he might not be able to hold it for very long. Usually he can't hold this for more than a couple minutes. If not, just 10 at maximum. But how long has it been already? Deku would actually look down at his watch, and he says that it's been about, as he would power down, saying 1 minute and 22 seconds. As All Might immediately begins rushing back at them, Deku powers up again, leaping off of one leg, and he actually meets All Might face to face, as these two create another powerful smash at each other. Everyone is cheering on Deku in the observation deck, and people are watching as Jiraka. She's just sitting there really focused, and she's not saying a word. She's just trying to pay attention to the entire battle. Now, as soon as that happens, All Might is actually thinking he needs to go a little bit further. So he actually starts going completely all out, taking off his weights. As soon as this happens, Deku immediately just sees as All Might blitzes them, and Deku's realizing just how fast All Might actually is. As All Might essentially bridged the gap between speed and strength. Now, All Might is actually fighting with them, and anytime Deku gets the upper hand, or All Might gets the upper hand, Bakugo could try distracting All Might, or blinding him with the explosions. Now then, let us cut to about 5 minutes, if not 7 minutes later. Now, Deku is thinking that he can't really hold on to this for a lot longer, and All Might is going to beat them soon. And as he's thinking this, he's realizing that he can't let All Might win, as he's essentially he's being the villain here. They are being the heroes. And he starts getting angry at himself. He's thinking that if a hero cannot win against a villain, then he truly is not a hero. He can't be, can he? As Deku starts becoming a little more unhinged, he's getting angry, and he's realizing that he probably needs to just calm down. As soon as he thinks this, his entire arm gets coated in a black substance. He looks down at it, and he's actually confused. As All Might's looking at this, he's interested in it, and he actually stops for a second, actually catching Bakugo off guard. As soon as he's calmed down, as soon as he starts realizing what this is, as soon as he moves his hand, it just starts springing to life, actually freaking Deku out. And it starts moving toward Bakugo and All Might in their directions, as Deku's actually just trying to rewind it back into his arm. Now, after doing this, All Might is watching as anything these things touch actually age up. If not, they turn back to dust. Because all the cement, all the buildings, they're essentially just crumpling into dust as anything touches them. And Deku's realizing that whatever this thing is, it's dangerous. So he just starts rewinding his body more and more. If not rewinding this thing on his arm. Which proves not to work, as it just powers it up more. Now, Deku actually turns off rewind, actually dropping to about 60% of All Might's power, as this thing actually starts to not do or not turn anything to dust. Which Deku essentially starts having it coat over his entire body, if not parts of his suit. As he's thinking this is crazy and he doesn't even know what this thing is. As All Might starts lunging towards him, saying that whatever that is, they have to take it out now. Or he's going to stop it right now. Afterwards, All Might would see as Deku, he immediately just goes to punch All Might, and he actually throws 100% at All Might with his left arm. Which All Might would have realized, as Deku's essentially just holding his arm and it's broken. All Might's asking Deku what's he gonna do, because he can't use rewind without using that thing also. Deku immediately just moves over to his right arm and actually starts having these things lash at All Might, actually focusing them in just his direction. As soon as this happens, All Might is actually watching as Deku, he's having these things essentially contort and twist around All Might's arms, legs, and any of All Might's joints. As he's essentially able to hold on to All Might starts to grab onto one of these things, and he actually starts pulling Deku closer, as Deku's just holding them there with his hand, and he's actually trying to get a planting on his feet. He starts charging up full cowling, and he's just holding and fighting against all of All Might's strength with one arm. Which everyone's commenting on and talking about, but Deku, he's still losing footing. Now, Bakugo's standing there, kind of confused and shocked. And during the entire thing, Bakugo's actually been getting exhausted and tired, essentially trying to avoid debris and the chaos these two are causing. As one of his gauntlets are destroyed, and one of his actual boots were hit by one of Deku's whips, turning him back into raw plastic. Now, as Deku's holding onto this whip, All Might is actually pulling Deku closer, and Deku just yanks with as much force as he can. He turns up full cowling again to 100%, and All Might sees this as he turns on rewind. Now he's thinking that he can only use this for another minute, so he's got to make it count. He immediately starts powering up more and more and more, actually going to 1,000,000% for about 5 seconds. All Might's watching Deku do this, and he's horrified as Deku just yanks All Might directly towards him. And with his broken arm, he throws 1,000,000% straight in All Might's chest, sending him flying further throughout the arena, out of the city, than anyone has ever seen. Now, as soon as that happens, people are watching as Deku's essentially just bursting with so much power, and he's just trying to keep himself together. As Deku immediately just calms down, he's breathing, he's panting, and people are watching as Deku is only able to bring his hand up and give a thumbs up before falling backwards. Now, as soon as Deku fell backwards, Bakugo would have actually been taking off this piece of raw plastic, just exploding it and trying to get it off, since it's basically useless, as he would run over and get Deku. He's thinking that whatever All Might is, he's going to be out there for a good minute or so, if not less than a minute, so they need to get out of here. And let us continue All Might as these two exit the entrance exam. Exit the entrance exam. No, go to the exit. Wrong thing. These two are walking through the exit as All Might is flying through the air. Now, All Might, he is actually passed out. If not, he got knocked out. Now, All Might is actually flying through the air, and let us cut to him waking up. He probably woke up directly after Deku's punch, realizing that he can't actually get momentum or go in that direction. But he's actually proud, seeing that Deku actually held himself together. So, he gives him the win. As All Might continues flying backwards, actually smashing into the ocean. Now, as soon as he does that, people are watching on the beach as All Might essentially swims back to shore and actually just pops his neck, actually jumping back over to the battle area. Now, he's actually taking his time to get back there because he knows how long it might take them to get out of the entrance exam. But he would have actually only had to wait a couple seconds before these two got to the exit. Now, as that's happening, Nezu is actually calling All Might and informing him of something they did not need. They didn't want to inform Midoriya or are just trying to keep low. Essentially, Overhaul, whatever Deku stabbed into his neck, has worn off. And Overhaul has escaped the prison, or if not his holding cell. But we still have his gang. Now this might prove to be something these kids are not ready to handle, as they are not dealing with a man, they are dealing with another monster. But he is not in the city. We need you to go check in with the family that is taking care of her. As All Might would do so, actually leaping off to see if it walking into the grocery store, and people are watching as All Might essentially just walked into a store on the other side of town, which is whenever Hasashi is actually would look up from his newspaper, seeing the number one hero, trying not to scream like a fangirl. Now, he's actually saying that he's here to check on Eri because of a situation that's popped up. As All Might actually walks over to the produce section, he would see as Eri is actually holding a pair, or if not a bundle of rotting, or if not, well, she's holding a bundle of bananas that are actually about to go bad, if not her going bad. And he's watching as she rewinds them to actually be perfectly yellow, which she actually smiles at as she's figured out how to do this. As she would actually just put them back on the shelf and begin doing this with some more produce. All Might would actually walk up to her, saying that it looks like she's actually learned how to use her quirk. So, young Midoriya has probably been teaching you. Do you still fear it? Well, I guess I do, but it's better than everything else I've ever done. What do you mean? Well, I don't really remember my parents a lot, but... And she would give the whole very bad and tragic shonen backstory. Which, I don't remember if Eri rewinded her dad, or she fast forwarded him into a pile of dust out of existence, but it was one of the two. Now, for those of you who have commented on my Doomslayer series that I want to start, if not my Doom guy Deku, as I'm going to nickname him, I have actually been researching him a lot. One thing I found very funny is there's a whole debate on whether or not people can, like, how hard would you have to smack a chicken to cook it? Doomkai can literally incinerate a chicken if he were to hit it, which I find hilarious. And that was like all the way back in like the 2000s, before this even got started. It's very funny. Anyway, I am probably going to be recording the next part in a little while, because we are having a family barbecue. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day.